Hey guys, going to be the pilot episode of the Unloaded podcast. Going forward, I think this is going to be something that we do maybe twice a month. We can increase frequency, if need be, but I'm using this podcast as a tool to bring awareness to some of the laws that they're trying to pass. I'm sure everybody knows the assault weapons ban that they're trying to sneak into the budget. It goes a little bit farther than that. It's more of a gun ban than an assault weapons ban. I know several people who are saying basically their whole safe is now considered an assault weapon under this law. There's got to be a time where the pendulum starts to shift back the other way, where the power returns to the people and the people understand that they're back in that position and things will right themselves. I don't think we're there. The problem is with our elected officials, if you want to call them that, is they think what they're doing is good for the community and good for the people. The problem with these bans and all these things that they want to pass is it's protected under the Constitution of the United States of America. It is literally the Second Amendment in the Constitution of the United States of America. What they think is the Founding Fathers portrayed this in a certain light because the technology didn't exist back then, which is not true. We're talking about people during the Revolutionary War who were shooting cannons full of grape shot at each other. Muskets lined up in rows, firing 50 yards from person to person. War back then and the mindset back then was a lot more brutal than it is today. If you had a disagreement back then, you would duel with somebody. You both would be handed a pistol, loaded, go out, 20 paces, whatever you want to call it, turn around and shoot at each other. And whoever got shot, lost. That's how they settled arguments back then. And I don't condone that kind of behavior, but it was a different world back then. Rhode Island is one of the safest states in the Union. We have about 50 firearms deaths per year. About half of them are suicide. So, to my knowledge, we've never really had a large-scale mass shooting. And the topic yesterday was prevent. They want to prevent this from happening. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. It's asinine, to say the least. One of the analogies that I like to use is there's a wolf going around biting sheep. So the sheep get together and they decide what's best for the community of the sheep is to remove all their teeth, because if the wolf has teeth and the wolf are biting the sheep and that hurts, well, if the sheep get rid of their teeth, then they have no reason to hurt each other. They have no use. But what happens is the wolf comes back and bites all the sheep, and the sheep are now defenseless. So you can take that as you will. That's just kind of the way that I tend to look at things. Going forward, I don't think we really have a solid plan. I think it's chaos right now. A lot of people are saying things out of anger, and I think what we need to do is approach this with a level head. We need to be tactful and mindful of the kind of people that we're dealing with, because on the anti-gun side, the Moms Demand Action side, they're organized. These people are being bussed in from God knows where. They're putting their, pretty faces out first and using their stories to their benefit. I was involved in this out in Texas, or this out in Missouri, or something that has nothing to do with what goes on in our state. I'm not quite sure where to go from here. I know the disaffiliation campaign is really a good tool to use, but I'm not quite sure that it's going to work. One thing with the new Attorney General taking a look at all these gun laws and all this kind of stuff is the executive order that Donald Trump put out just a couple of days ago. I believe it was almost a week ago. It'll be a week on Friday, I believe. One of the subsections said any ongoing litigation brought on by the United States of America. The way that I look at this is Ocean State Tactical and Snope are ongoing litigation within the court system of the United States of America, brought on by the United States of America. One was introduced in Maryland, one was introduced in Rhode Island. To be waiting on the federal government to step in is, I think, kind of a waste of time. You know, it could be months, days, years, you know, whatever it may be. We've been waiting on SCOTUS to take up, you know, both of these cases and rule on them, and, you know, we're now pushed off into 2026, which I think is ridiculous. Ending off, we'll have topics in the future on the next podcast to think about and to talk about. But going forward, I think what we need to do is get organized, bringing awareness to other people, kind of outside of our scope, I think is probably the best avenue that we can take. There was kind of a famous saying that's gone around over the last couple of weeks. You know, it's armed minorities are harder to oppress. And I think using that as a tool would definitely help us in the long run. I think it's a good tactic to use. Whether you're left or right, black, white, purple, whoever you may be, whatever race, creed, color, as long as you're a citizen of the United States of America, here legally, I may add, and not a convicted felon or, you know, person of criminality, you are protected under the Second Amendment of the United States of America. And I think it's time to just give power back to the people. I think the people are upset, and I don't blame them. People are mad. So we got to do something. I'm not sure what that something is. We want to approach this in the most tactful, mindful, and professional way that we possibly can. We don't want to be the bad guys. We don't want to look bad. That's the last thing that we want. In the future, with Parabellum Provisions, I would like to do a side-by-side podcast. Same with Rhode Island gun rights. I think it would be a great idea. The more information that we can get out there, the more powerful we become. And that's how power shifts back to our side of things. And hopefully, in the long run, we won't have an assault weapons ban. We'll overturn the magazine ban. We can have silencers, suppressors, whatever you want to call them. We can have all that fun stuff. I don't want any of this for my fellow people. I'm sure my fellow people don't want any of this for the rest of their friends and their family and all these people that have to take time out of their lives to go up to the State House with their yellow shirts and be laughed at and mocked by these people, which is on video. I think enough is enough. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys off. Those are just my first thoughts going forward. I'll have more information as time goes on. If anybody wants to hop on the podcast, I'm more than welcome to. This is an open invitation to anybody, whether you're on the anti side or you're on the pro side. I'd love to hear everybody's opinions. Love to hear everybody's, kind of thoughts and ideas going forward. This is open to whoever wants it, and we're just going to go from there. So I appreciate you guys listening. Like I said, bear with me. I'm new at this. I'm going to do as good of a job as I possibly can. If you guys have any criticisms, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear it. And that's about all I got for you. So, till next time, appreciate you guys.